Let's go on to construction. As the federal government has mandated 2 weeks site work before paying mobilization fees to road contractors. So the federal government introduced this policy requiring road contractors to work on site for at least 2 weeks before receiving mobilization fees. Will this work? We talked about the policy where the government was talking about the amounts, the percentage that will be released to the contractors. And now it's talking about going to site first, working there for 2 weeks before you're even given the mobilization fees. Does it mean that only very financially healthy construction companies can have contracts now or can bid for contracts? Because you must have some money to have started the work 2 weeks before you're even mobilized. Doc.
Well, to answer that question straight on, if you don't have money, you don't have a business being a contractor. And that's quite very important. And there are conditions under which people are able to do some certain things. So my worry really is, and I understand where all these are coming from. We have people who, a lady told me a story that happened some time ago, and I think this was in Ondo State. This particular chap was bidding for a contract, and he won. And he never went to site. But like it's done usually, all the stakeholders meetings were held. And then a month down the line, he's asking for completion certificate. He has never been to site at all. And at the end of the day, it became like a quarrel between this lady and this chap who had this contract. And I felt that, wow, people are heartless, really. How will somebody give you a contract that you are profiting from? And you not even bother to even take sand to the site, and then you collect money. So, again, you go back to the things I talk about on this table every day. Character deficiency, where people have very low values. But the question is, with these 2 weeks on site, cure this malice?
That's a huge question for David Tomai.
Because
generous.
You want them to be on the side. They can take 2 people there and use cutlass and be cutting down tree there for 2 weeks. Are they not on site?
Yes, they are. They fulfill the regulatory aspect of it.
Okay. So I think beyond the 2 weeks, the circular should be able to tell what quantum of work or milestone that should be achieved before mobilization, not just being on site for 2 weeks. Honestly speaking, because people who have no value will do anything to get that initial mobilization and boot away. Because the thing we're dealing with here is people of low value who want the money but they don't want to work. So when you are dealing with such social scene, you have to be intentionally smart to outwit those people who are low value. So I think beyond the 2 weeks site preparation, there's also a need for a milestone to be set that you get to this point in this job, then we'll be able to give you an advance. And I think that will be the antidote to those people who take contracts and never go to site.
First of all, that question, like after the 2 weeks, what next? I think I want to just appreciate the mentality or the mindset or the plan, the blueprint, the strategy that the Honorable Minister of Works, David Umahi, is trying to adopt to make sure that there is transparency in that sector and to make sure that everyone, all parties to the contract, are committed? Because I'm sure now contractors will be asking the question, Mr. Umahi, you are making all these statements. What about you, the government, your own part of the bargain? You will need to feel it, because I remember the last time we spoke about this, Doc and Blessing spoke very much on the side of the contractor and how how the government itself has an obligation.
I don't understand why,
because I am not surprised. I think Doc is part of those contractors, two of you. But
comrade, let's not forget your matter.
So the thing is, I know that I like this 2 weeks thing. However, I prefer the APG and the performance bond. I think those ones are really going to stand the test of time to make sure that the contractors, they are held by the jugular. But on the part of the government, the mobilization fee, the procurement act, the kind of authority that the government has with that, it needs to also play a responsible role to make sure that, look, whilst we are setting all these standards, we know that contractors could be very, very defiant to authority. However, when we are setting these standards on our own part, we need to be responsible as well. If 20% of the entire sum of the contract fee will not do, if it will not serve that purpose for mobilization fee, then let's increase it. Let's increase it, and let's make sure that the oversight function we are strongly attached to it. However, there's an aspect I would like to address. There are some contracts that are given to cronies. Imagine doctor giving a contract, or me, I'm giving a contract to my friend who owns a company, a construction company, to execute, to build a road, either in the local government or in a state road. And because he thinks, oh, this is the norm in the Nigerian society, my friend is now in power. He gave me, I worked for him to become the local government chairman. I worked extensively at the grassroots level for him to become the governor of the state. So I'm equally connected to Senator XYZ and to Honorable XYZ. So I will use that power, I will wield that authority to make sure when I finally win this contract, I'm just going to settle some of these big boys and not execute that contract. When you do that, and you giving out the contract, you gave it to your friend, would you have the political will and the power? Of course, you have the power, but will you have the political will as the governor of the state to make sure that you allow the Economics and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, and the ICPC and the law enforcement agencies to do their job? Would you be willing to take your friend to court for not fulfilling part of his bargain for that contract that you gave to him in trust? That he is my friend, and I need to. Can we do that? Because if we don't do that, then we are all part of the problem.
The answer to that question is in the question itself. It's very unlikely that would happen. Only a few persons would cross the line of friendship. Only a few persons. Only a few persons will cross the line of friendship.
I promise delivery.
To do that. So
I promise delivery. I can bet with my name. When you give me the contract, I will deliver.
Okay.
And I will do it, and you will like the quality of work done, because that's in my nature to do things right.
Okay.
But you see, why we spoke the other day about contractors, because there are two sides to a coin. And the other side to the coin is the fact that there's also maximum default from the approving authority, that people have invested so much to do something for government, and then they are not able to recoup such investment because government is not able to pay. Now, when you check, for example, the local debt that the country is owing of the 79 trillion that we're talking about, you will find that what is owed to contractors, what the governments across the federal, states, and local government, they are owing to contractor that constitutes this local debt. You will mourn for the contractors. And some of all these contracts that we're talking about, they are not contracts that was done last year. Some of them 10 years ago, that are still not paid. So that's the point. So there's two sides to that coin. And what point we're actually making was the fact that contractors Yes, they need an APG. Yes, they need a performance bond. And I think it will also be good that government that is giving this condition must ensure that they obey the Procurement Act, which says if you don't have money, don't buy. And before you sign off a procurement contract, whether it's work or goods and services, you must have the money put somewhere so that as contractor hits milestone, they can have access to their fund. And when that is done very well, government will be able to actually attract good contractor. I had a conversation with a gentleman yesterday, and he said to me, you know, I don't want to do business with government. I'm fine being with the private entities because people understand what it is to do business with government. And I think until hygiene enter into that entire process, we will not even have good people who have good intentions, who have the character to do job, to start to bid for government contract. So you will only have, like they say, when you pay peanuts, it's only monkeys can get for a workforce.
Okay, I think it's a good one that the government is making the decision that for contractors to be mobilized, they must have started work 2 weeks before they even receive mobilization fees. Because what we find in some cases that mobilization fees are released 2 weeks, 1 month afterwards, you do not even find any sign of the contractor in sight. That's when they tell you, oh, this happened, that happened, so they're unable to get equipment down to site. But if the contractor is already shown that they're ready to commence work and they moved equipment to the site, they moved their workers to the site, and work is commenced already, then you can see the sign that, okay, from what we're seeing, perhaps they have what it takes to actually do this work. But I don't even think it should stop there. Now, by the time mobilization fee is released, there should also be the same monitoring in the strength at which the work was monitored when the contractor mobilized to site without even receiving the mobilization fee. Now, after mobilization fee is given, that same monitoring should go on. So it's not as if I have invested. So once I receive the mobilization fee, I disappear. They should be monitored to ensure that they carry on the task as they should. For companies that may be wondering, well, I do not have the strength to go to site without being mobilized first, then I think that maybe internally, some companies can be thinking of maybe having some measure to pull strength, to pull resources together. So where one company may not be able to handle a job or handle a project, if there are 3 companies that consolidate, they may be able to do that. Well, that's just a business sense for contractors there. So you know what we'll do here? We help inspire change. So that change may just happen in the construction sector so that indigenous companies can also benefit from that. They don't feel like this policy will edge them out and give the big companies, the foreign companies, the strength to muscle them out of the sector.